The flickering green neon of the midnight diner washed over Olivia's face, giving her skin a sickly glow. Rain slid down the dirty windows, smearing the streetlights into long, distorted streaks of color. Inside, the air smelled of stale coffee, and something sharper, metallic, like the air after a lightning strike. Olivia sat at a corner booth, drawing circles on the table with her finger. A cold shiver ran through her, not just from the draft slipping through the cracked window, but from something deeper. "You're late," said Liana, her voice low and rough. She didn't look up from her phone, its blue glow reflecting in her dark, steady eyes. Her silver rings clicked lightly as her fingers tapped the table in irritation. "I had to make sure no one followed me," Olivia said, pulling out the chair across from her. The sound of metal scraping linoleum echoed too loudly in the empty diner. She glanced around. The place was nearly deserted. The cook was just a hulking shape behind the counter, his back turned. "It's happening, isn't it?" Liana finally met her gaze. "The first one. Tonight." Her voice dropped to a whisper that still felt heavy, final. "The tremors started an hour ago, just like the old text said." Olivia's eyes widened. "Tremors? I didn't feel anything." "That's because you weren't listening," Liana said with a faint smirk. "The earth hums when it's ready to give up, it's dead." A tired waitress shuffled over, expression blank. "What can I get for you?" "Coffee. Black," said Liana firmly. "Nothing for me," Olivia murmured. Her stomach twisted. That metallic smell was getting stronger. The waitress nodded slowly, like she was half asleep, and wandered away. Her uniform was wrinkled, stained. Something about her felt off, as if she wasn't fully there. "She's one of them, isn't she?" Olivia whispered. "Not yet," Liana replied, eyes following the waitress. "But close. The veil is thin tonight. Some people will start to feel it." She leaned forward. "Did you bring it?" Olivia hesitated, then reached into her bag and pulled out a small wooden box, carved with old runes. The wood was dark, smooth, and unnaturally cold. Liana took it gently, tracing the symbols. "The key. It's not just a key," Olivia said quietly. "It's a bridge." Liana gave a dry laugh. "You talk like it's something to fear. What's more horrifying than the world we already live in? At least this brings balance." The waitress returned with Liana's coffee. Liana thanked her without looking away. The woman nodded blankly and drifted back behind the counter. She felt it. Liana murmured, sipping her coffee. "The pull. It's getting stronger." "Nisha's already there, isn't she?" Olivia asked. "Waiting," said Liana. "At the mausoleum. The confluence point." A crash came from the kitchen. Metal clattered. The cook cursed under his breath. "We should go," Olivia said, her nerves tightening. Liana nodded, slipping the box into her coat pocket. "Remember the incantation. Every word. One mistake, and we're done. Hashtag, hashtag, hashtag the cemetery." They stepped into the rain. The street was silent. The neon sign flickered behind them, its light stretching over puddles like toxic veins. The city itself seemed to hold its breath. The drive to the cemetery passed in silence. The windshield wipers beat a slow rhythm as skeletal tree branches flashed in the headlights. When they reached the gates, the iron creaked open with a low groan. The air inside was colder, thick with the smell of damp earth and old stone. Nisha stood waiting by the mausoleum, a tall, dark figure outlined against the storm. Her face was pale, her eyes black as ink. A faint light pulsed around her, soft but unnatural. "You're here," she said quietly. Her voice was calm, steady, too calm. "The box," Liana said, holding it out. Nisha took it. Their fingers touched, sparking a small jolt of energy. She opened the box to reveal a shard of black obsidian glowing faintly in the dark. "The heart," she whispered. "It beats again." "What happens now?" Olivia asked, hugging herself. "The veil thins," said Nisha. "The world between life and death opens. We call them back." The ground trembled. Dust rose from forgotten graves. "The incantation," Liana urged. Nisha closed her eyes and began to chant, low, guttural words in a language older than time. The sound vibrated in Olivia's bones. The air thickened. Shadows stretched unnaturally across the tombstones. The earth split. Olivia stumbled as the ground shook violently. Nisha's voice grew louder, then broke into a scream that wasn't human. The obsidian flared, a flash of black light, and then came silence. When the light faded, Nisha was changed. Her skin pale as ash, her eyes still black but glowing faintly from within. The shard pulsed in her hand. "It is done," she said softly. Then came a faint thump-thump, the sound of a heartbeat, but from beneath the ground. The soil shifted. A hand broke through, skeletal and twitching. Olivia gasped. More hands followed. Then faces. Bodies. Dozens. No, hundreds of figures pulling themselves from the earth. They weren't zombies. Their skin was smooth but pale, their movements slow and graceful. They breathed, but had no pulse. "No pulse," Liana whispered, still breathing. "They're not hostile," said Nisha. "We brought them back. We are their shepherds." The reawakened gathered silently around her, drawn to the glowing shard. The only sound was their faint, shallow breathing. "What do we do now?" Olivia asked, her voice shaking. Nisha smiled faintly. "Now we show the living what true life means. ####the dawn." By the time the first light of dawn touched the horizon, the cemetery was full of the pulseless. They stood motionless, like statues of gray stone, the faint thump-thump of their collective breath filling the air. "They await our command," said Nisha, her voice steady. "The world will wake to a new reality. A reality where death isn't the end," Liana said, eyes burning with excitement. "Where fear of the grave is gone forever." Olivia stared at them. They were terrifying, but beautiful in a strange way. Living and dead at once. A new kind of being. "But what do they want?" she asked. "They want to exist," Nisha replied. "To feel again. We will guide them." Liana laughed softly. "They are evolution, Olivia. The bridge between life and death." Sirens began to wail in the distance. The city was waking up to chaos. "They've found the diner," Liana said. "The waitress must have crossed over." Nisha nodded. "The ripple has begun. The veil won't hold for long. They'll be afraid," Olivia warned. "They'll see monsters." "Fear fades," said Nisha, stepping forward, the shard pulsing in her hand. "This is the dawn of a new age, the age of the pulseless." Behind her, the silent army stirred. "The world will adapt," Nisha said, her voice echoing across the graves, "or it will be left behind." Olivia looked at them all, Nisha, Liana, and the reawakened. Fear still clung to her, but underneath it was something else, a pull she couldn't resist. The metallic taste in the air lingered, and the steady thump-thump surrounded her like a heartbeat that was no longer her own. The sun rose higher, and the world changed forever.